What happened after you explained to him how the cream was to be used?
He said he was clear and that he would do it the following day.
And what happened next?
Then we talked a little bit about the administration of insulin. It's EPO is clear, liquid. Insulin is clear. They're both administered subcutaneous, meaning in the fat of the stomach area. So it's a very similar thing to, you have a bottle with a rubber stopper. The basic method of administration for insulin is almost exactly like what it is for EPO, except for you don't do 2 injection sites, you just do 1, and it was an amount of 3 units, which is a very small amount.
Did you show him how to, did he sit with you and where you demonstrated how to get it out?
He didn't pull the insulin out, but he understood and go through the whole procedure because he wasn't going to do it that day, but I explained it to him, and we had the bottle there, yes.
Is there a reason why he, did you recommend that he not do the insulin that day?
There's no need to do it because insulin is always used after an intense workout. So he wasn't working out, there was no need to take it.
Okay.
You do it post-workout for recovery.
After you described the use of the insulin to him, what happened next at this second meeting on July 26th?
Then, together with me, I sat at the table. I went back around at that point to my desk, and Shane still kind of scooted his chair up closer to that corner of the desk where he was sitting here and I was sitting here. And that's where we designed the calendar. I had 2 calendars, and from that date forward, we notated all the dates that he would do the EPO, the dates he would do the clear, the dates he would do the cream, and specifically listed the individual nutrients, iron, vitamin C, B12, folic acid, and so on, that he would take. And there are also notations where he understood that
let's not say what he understood, what you told him.
What I told him was that during the first 2 weeks, when he was doing it 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and while we were waiting to get the second blood test result back, which we did later from the laboratory at Big Bear, that the amount of iron that he would take would be 2 capsules. They were 25 milligrams each, so he would take 2 capsules daily for the first 14 days, and then thereafter, once he reduced the dosage of EPO to 1 injection per week, that he would reduce back down and take only 1 capsule.
After you had the discussion about the other legal substances he would take, and before I get to that, you understood that both that the clear and the use of the clear and the cream was a criminal violation of the criminal law. You have to say yes or no.
The answer is yes, and it's the same with EPO.
Okay. Now, after you had the discussion about the legal supplements that he was to use, what happened next?
We talked about the financial issue.
Okay, and what did you say? What did he say?
If you look in the upper left-hand corner what I said was, here's the cost of each one of the items. I itemized them all and gave him a total, which included EPO, $900, the clear, $150, the cream, $150, the blood test, I think was $200. Or maybe, all I know is the total, I have to look at the calendar, was $1,850. And I remember we forgot to include the limousine, and we added that later. And then at that time, Shane apparently brought some cash with him, and he stood up and he, in $20 bills, he said, well, I have 500 with me, and I'll have to send you a check for the other $1,350, and he counted out $500 in $20 bills and gave me that, and then later, once he got back to Southern California, he sent a check for the $1,350.
Did you, prior to the meeting, in your 5 or 6 conversations with Mr. Hudson, did you ever talk to him about the cost of the treatment?
Not directly with Shane, no, I did not.
I'm asking with Mr. Hudson.
Oh, you didn't? Okay, so when you say, did you ever? There may have been some general discussion about it, but at that point in time, you know, I wasn't sure until we had the face-to-face conversation what specifically that he would be interested in doing. Like I said, presented options and we talked this through.
Well, did Mr. Hudson, in words or substance, ever ask you, what's the range of costs for you doing this work?
I don't recall. I just remember that it kind of struck me as being odd because regardless, I knew with some of these basic expenses and EPO being discussed that apparently Shane had some idea that maybe it would cost in the neighborhood of $500. I'm guessing here because that's why I brought $500 in cash.
Well, did you have any discussion with Mr. Hudson prior to the meeting about any dollar?
There may have been, but I don't recall any specific discussion. No.
Had you ever charged just $500 for the clear and the cream?
For any
party, anybody
at any time?
At any time.
Some people for the clear and the cream were charged $300.
Okay. Had you ever charged anyone prior to the meeting with Mr. Mosley $500 for the clear, the cream, and EPO?
No.
You would always charge more?
For that 6-week period of time with Shane before the fight, the amount was $900. So there was no, even for that short period of time, so EPO is much more expensive. It would never cost, you could never do it for $500, no.
Okay, so, and did you ever discuss with Mr. Hudson prior to the meeting that EPO was an expensive process?
I don't recall us talking about the financial cost.
Now I think you said after the meeting, after you talked about the cost and Mr. Mosley paid the $500, what happened next?
They left probably somewhere in the neighborhood of, I want to say 2 o'clock, early afternoon, for the limo driver to take them back to the Oakland airport. They had to drive 45 minutes to the other side of the bay.
Okay, let me stop there. I want to get the timeline straight. What time did Mr. Mosley show up in the first instance at Balco?
I can only give you a rough guess. 10 o'clock?
Okay, and the first meeting lasted for how long?
At most 20 minutes.
Okay.
30 minutes.
And I think you said that they were back, then they went off for about half an hour?
Yes.
So they were back about 11 o'clock?
Approximately.
And your recollection is it was a 2 hour, and if they left at 2, did you have a 3-hour meeting with them?
3 hours seems like a long time. It could have been.